Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I affectionately welcome all of you for this session of the Heart of the Holy Name. In this series, which we will put out each month, we are trying to go to the essence of chanting the sacred mantra. We are looking how to do that from the perspective of sacred scriptures. For this session I will use particularly the Harinama Cintamani, and then we will also give some very, let us say, essential practice with you. At the last half hour or so, we will then open the forum and give space to answering any questions which come. Somehow I very much feel inspired to give this particular program because I know that chanting or learning to chant properly is an ongoing process. It's something which does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen in one retreat. It doesn't happen even when you put aside a whole month to deepen your chanting. It is something which you need to be committed to for a whole life, so to say. Because just like Krishna is an unlimited subject matter where you can explore deeper and deeper insights, in the same way his holy name is unlimitedly deep with unlimited realizations. And if we can just make this one practice what it is meant to be, if we can bring it to the right level, then we are meeting Krishna. Our spiritual life is perfect. It is does not require any imports as far as other practices are concerned. Today I would like to approach maybe the greatest concern for anyone who chants. It is how to overcome inattention. Inattention is described by Haridas Thakur as really the root of all problems in spiritual life. He explains this in the 12th chapter of Harinama Cintamani. He says, even if you can avoid all the other offenses, and even if you can regularly chant the holy name, it is seen that you still do not attain pure love for the holy name. Why is this? And he answers his own question. He says, I know this is because of the offense known as pramada or inattention. It blocks the attainment of pure devotional love. And then he says, I have put this for you in the comment section, pramadana vadana emula arta ita iha hoite gate prabhu sakala anata. The root meaning of pramada is inattention. O Lord, from inattention all other anattas or blockages in our spiritual life arise. From this one thing, inattention, the whole host of other offenses, anarthas, arise. And there is a reason for this. The entire reason, the only cause, the root cause for us having fallen away into this material world is inattention. In the Bhagavatam there is a shloka which is also recited, I believe, 3 times in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where this is described. Bhayam dvitiniya bhiniveshata syat ishat apetasya viparyayo smriti. It means at the moment when we fall from grace, so to say, at the moment where we become attracted to the material energy and leave our spiritual domain, one is overpowered by anxiety and fear. Because one is separated now from the Supreme Personality of Godhead by the material energy, one's conception about life is upside down. It is reversed. In other words, instead of being the eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called viparyayo smriti, or this reversed intelligence. To nullify this mistake, one who's actually learned and advanced worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worships the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. This is a lot of philosophy. Let's boil it down. The moment we become separate from Krishna, we see the shadow. It's just like if I now would turn around like this. Where is it? Oh yes, there I see it. I would see the shadow behind me. So when I turn away from Krishna, then I face the shadow of the material energy. I become Mr. Shadowman or Mrs. Shadow woman, only engaged with shadows, which I cannot control. They don't, or I cannot handle them on my own. They work according to the other energy. They are not under my I can't get a hold of them. They try to get a hold of a shadow. It doesn't work. Try to get hold of the material things and make them all work according to your plans. It will never work. So to overcome this, being in the shadows, fighting and struggling with the shadows, we need to again turn around and come into the light of pure God consciousness. We need to be in that connection. And this actually is what chanting means. It means to turn around. It means to make the paradigmic shift from being only engaged with the material energy to now be fully absorbed and fully engaged with Krishna and the spiritual energy. And someone who has turned away from Krishna finds this extremely difficult. Because we have turned away from Krishna and we have become absorbed for so long in everything else, our inability to focus on Krishna manifests when we try to chant. Then our past history, eons, thousands of and millions of lifetimes of being separated, that becomes manifest, and we feel also separated from Krishna's holy name. Only when someone's heart becomes softened and he can again turn to Krishna, calling out, my dear Krishna, since I have turned away from you, my life has become very, very complex and complicated and difficult. Only if you turn like this to the Lord will all of a sudden the attention be there in the chanting. You will not find any distracting thoughts. You will not find anything which comes in between, because your consciousness is now again at the proper place. It will burn very clearly. In the Bhagavatam, consciousness is very nicely described with an analogy. Imagine the analogy is that of a flame, which can become bigger and bigger and become clearer and clearer. However, when the flame is on a misplaced wick, which lies a little to the side, which is not properly adjusted, then the flame doesn't burn bright. It creates smoke and further darkness. Only when the wick is properly situated will a clear and gradually increasing flame be there. Otherwise, it will just not do that. So, when we are in spiritual consciousness, we are in clear consciousness, we are in clean consciousness, we are in bright consciousness, and the little light within all of us, which is there, will burn and burn and increase and increase. So you know, when you chant a material consciousness, oops, then it's very, you are still separated and you will not be able to concentrate on Krishna. But once you turn to Krishna in your chanting and you really take shelter at his lotus feet, you say to him, alas, it is very difficult for me to again come into the proper place, then he might help you. Haridas Thakur explains how difficult it is to take care of this deep-rooted problem and the deep-rooted cause of our inability to focus on Krishna. It's because we have turned away for so long. But he says, because it's so deep-rooted, it's so primordial, it's the original problem of the soul, therefore one finds himself unable to solve it on its own. It's too strong. He makes it very clear, it's in the 12th chapter again of the Harinama Cintamani, simply by one's own endeavors, no one in this world, that's a pretty inclusive statement, simply by one's own endeavors, no one in this world can overcome distractedness or inattention. Such a victory can only come about by your merciful blessings. This deep-rooted problem of having turned away from Krishna, which manifests when we try to chant with attention, is so difficult to overcome that we require divine help to do this. Now, what does turning to Krishna actually mean? It means, first of all, to confront, or let us say, acknowledge our fallen condition. It means to no longer pretend everything is all right in the world of shadows. It means to acknowledge that the Lord is one's only help. And this can be done through chanting in a mood where you really approach Krishna like this. There is a verse which I really want to recommend to all of you. I have not been able to include it in the comment section, but maybe someone can type it in. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 20:32. 20th chapter, verse 22. It's the Shikshashtakam verse, which I think many of you will know. I will chant it for you. One moment. Ainanda tanuya kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddho kripaya tava para pankaja stita duli sadrisham vichintaya. My dear Lord, I'm actually your eternal servant, but somehow or other I have fallen into this ocean of birth and death. Kindly pick me up and fix me as a speck of dust at your lotus feet. The image is so nice. There's a lotus, and the pollen of the lotus fall away from the plant and onto the water. They are lost. They will be washed away. So in the same way, we have fallen away from the lotus feet of the Lord, and we are washed away by the powerful waves of samsara, or material existence. Now the prayer is, please take me up, pick me up, bring me back to you. I can't do it. I can't, even when I approach you in the form of the holy name. I somehow can't keep my attention with you. Please, you help me. See, the prayer of the chanter is the same as the prayer of the fallen soul. Both recognize that on their own they will not be able to keep their entire absorption on Krishna only. They need his help. They need his powerful intercession. A little while ago, maybe only 2 or 3 days ago, I reflected about my own life and saw that there are areas where I still have not been able to put everything in order. And I sincerely called out to Krishna in the evening that, my Lord, please give me help. I'm sometimes distracted when I chant, and I can't seem to overcome this. Like this, and then I got up in the morning, and somehow the consciousness was still there, with which I had gone to bed. I was still in a prayerful mood, and then yes, it was a very wonderful experience. Not because of my own strength, but I could clearly feel there was help from above, the divine help. See, in spiritual life, consciousness and the change of consciousness is really all we need to look at. Consciousness has such an important role to play, how we perceive our life and how we respond to life. If the consciousness is clear, we will respond to life in a total different way than if it is muddled. When you chant kirtan, for instance, the kirtan leader needs to be aware that what comes out from him in the form of kirtan, singing, will be very much affected by his consciousness. We all know this. An angry man has another voice than a loving child. The consciousness is influencing the voice, and it is coming out through the voice. Emotions like anger, fear, or love are coming out through the voice. Therefore, in Christianity, the priest, before he starts to address the congregation, he will say, I've written this down, Dominus sit in corde meo et in labiis meis. May the Lord be in my heart and on my lips. When you lead kirtan, when you sing kirtan, you have to somehow come to a point in the heart, to a consciousness in the heart, where you are addressing Krishna. And then this comes out through your voice. That's why we want to hear from a kirtan leader who is absorbed. We want to hear from, not just from someone who has a nice voice and a whole range of interesting melodies. We want to hear someone who has been able to focus his mind on Krishna in the heart. Yes. And also when we are in kirtan, we want to make sure that our consciousness is receptive, that it can, that we can receive the Lord in the form of the sound vibration. I gave yesterday an example. Look at this cloth here. Before I dyed it, it was white, and therefore it could absorb the saffron color so nicely. If it would have been brown and I would have tried to dye it with saffron color, it would be an ugly gray maybe, or something else. So when you chant in kirtan and you receive, so to say, the divine sound vibration, make sure your consciousness is white, your consciousness is receptive. It can absorb the divine sound vibration. This is a very, very good advice. Everything in kirtan is, how do you say, carried by consciousness. The way someone plays the instruments, if he has a consciousness that I want to show off, then the sound of these little karatals will be different. It will not be supportive. If someone claps in the hand and he is not in tune with celebrating or worshipping Krishna, that clapping, simple clapping, will be at the wrong timings. Or if someone dances in kirtan and his consciousness is maybe to show off some muscular dancing forms, or draw attention to his own body, that will not be very much welcome. In kirtan and in chanting japa, the consciousness is crucial. You will get what your consciousness is focused on. This conscious chanting should be done under the influence of the spiritual energy, under the influence of the pure consciousness, the consciousness which is free from ego. It should be in Pure Land, so to say, the kirtan. There's a very nice point in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. He, who is the original master of chanting the holy name, he describes how he was, what happened to him after his initiation into chanting. His spiritual master had told him he should just chant and dance in love of Godhead, and he, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now reflects. He says, I firmly believe in these words of my spiritual master, and therefore I always chant the holy name of the Lord alone and in the association of devotees. That holy name of Lord Krishna sometimes causes me to chant and dance, and therefore I chant and dance. Please do not think that I intentionally do it, so to say, that I do it on my own steam. No, I do it automatically. It means under the influence of the Lord. Prabhupada says so nice on this point. He says, it is to be understood that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced, he did so by the influence of the pleasure potency of the spiritual world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never considered the holy name a material vibration, nor does any pure devotee mistake the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be a material musical manifestation. So, yes, what this text says to us is the holy name is all spiritual, all transcendental. Now, to enter it, you have to also come into a consciousness where this is possible. And the only possibility to enter into the sound of the spiritual, into the spiritual sound vibration of the holy name is when you are free from ego, when you are free from egoistic consciousness. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised us, you can only chant if you are in a spirit of humility. Humility is that consciousness which is we're coming close to spiritual consciousness. Humility is that consciousness where you divest yourself of the false ego. I'm this, I'm that, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a German, I'm an American. Humility is the bomb which nukes the ego, to express it in the language of a T-shirt. So this is very necessary, because this is an activity of pure consciousness. Only those will get the best out of the chanting who purify their consciousness and overcome the root cause of turning away from Krishna. I would like, then the holy name can manifest. When you come into this spirit where you turn to Krishna, then the holy name appears. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes such an event. He talks about the great sage Narada, who chanted the holy name together with his celebrated veena, the instrument. I will sing it for you. Narada. Yes. Narada Muni Bhajai Vina Radhika Ramana Namine Namamani Uditai Bhakata Gita Same Namamani Uditai Bhakata Gita Same. I'm trying. It means the great sage Narada Muni chants the holy names accompanied by his veena. And the holy name immediately appears amidst the devotees singing. And so while the devotees are glorifying Krishna, Krishna comes and appears amongst the devotees in his form. This is chanting, to be in the consciousness of turning to Krishna, glorifying Krishna. When it's not possible, even asking the Lord for help and saying, my Lord, my mind is so opposed, it is not cooperating. Please, I cannot control this mind. It is elusive. It runs away from me and does what it wants. But you, please, come and control, or bring my mind to you. And then you will see a shift of consciousness, a falling into the mercy of the holy name. A total paradigmic shift actually will happen, which brings your whole life above the clouds of illusion, which brings your whole mind, feelings, desires into the spiritual realm. This is what is possible. I would like to now sing with you actually in this consciousness. I have prepared a little exercise and we will sing a new melody which we have learned. But I would first like to bring you into a state of consciousness where you can practice this consciously turning to Krishna through his holy name. After this exercise, we will have a lively question and answer session. There are various ways when you chant to enter into the personal presence of Krishna. One is called mantrata chintanam. It is where you reflect about the meaning of what you do. We won't do this today, but I will just, to give you the idea which you will need for the exercise today, describe what you do. You actually take a moment time and you reflect on the meaning of the chanting. The meaning, a very simple meaning, is please accept me, my Lord. Accept me in your service. Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, once said, I'm so embarrassed with my life. See that I'm constantly serving the material energy. I'm embarrassed with my being stuck. I now appeal to you in all earnestness. Please accept me in your service. I don't like to be a servant of Maya any longer. I want to become your servant. This is a very, very nice way of turning. But today I would like to introduce you into something else. The easiest is if you please drop all other activities now and focus totally on this, because we will meditate and then sing from there. Let me just give Krishna an instruction of what melodies we will chant. The new one which we opened the session with. So, sit tall. And relax your body. Start with the legs and the feet, and give them the command, relax. What you can do is you could just tense the muscles a little of the legs up to the calves and the feet, and then let go and relax. The upper body, including the shoulders, let us just tense it a little and then relax. Face, relax. Now we take a few deep breaths. exhale, we relax a little bit more. In your mind's eye, invoke an image of Krishna. If you are from another tradition, invoke an image of the divine. Some of you, the closest may be in light. Those who are in the Krishna tradition, invoke the image of Lord Krishna. Maybe the deity on the altar. Your favorite image of Krishna. Invoke an image of the Lord. Remain calm and focused, breathing in and out. If your attention should wander, bring it back to your breath and then to the image of the Lord. Appreciate that you have an eternal relationship, an unbreakable relationship. I will read to you a very deep text now. Try to just hear it and follow it, and then we will sing from that place which we will come to. My dear Lord Krishna, although I have forgotten you for so many long years in this material world, today I'm turning to you. I'm surrendering unto you. I'm your sincere and serious servant. Please engage me in your service. Please sing from this place. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let me tell you about a blind man. He's one of the great singers in Italy, like, please help me, this is not my area, like Mr. Pavarotti, Pavarotti, I think, Pavarotti, the man who sings so beautifully. This is a second Pavarotti, if you so want, Buccelli or something. He was born with a seeing defect, and when he was 12 had an accident where he lost completely his vision. Then he met, but he had a passion for singing. Then he met a very kind and very expert maestro, they say in Italy, a teacher of singing, and he told him to contact that inner light inside and bring that out in his song. And the blind man discovered a whole inner dimension which was much more interesting to him than the visible dimension. I have met blind people, most notably in the Himalayas. I met a saint called Gangadas, and I conversed with a dolmetscher with him, and he revealed to me that he was offered eye surgery by one of the best eye surgeons in Delhi, but he declined because he said his blindness had taught him to look inside and discover the world of the spirit inside. Are we not all spiritually blind? Are we not all, when it comes to trying to see ourselves, who we really are as souls, blind? Or when it comes to seeing clearly, not with our imagination, not in the eye of our mind like we did in the meditation, but when it comes to really perceiving the divine darshan, the vision of God, are we not blind? So this chanting, where we turn inside and sing really with everything our souls have, is a way to see inside, to see with the eyes of the Spirit, to see with spiritual eyes, and notice everything I need is in the spiritual dimension, not in the world of shadows. Before I turn to your questions, there are already 4 which I can see here. I will make a few announcements. Our next session, this is most probably the most important one, when we will meet again. The next session of the Heart of the Holy Name will be Saturday, the 24th of October, not Sunday. We have found out that Saturday it's much more easy for many people who wish to see this. So Saturday, next session, Saturday 24th of October, 3 p.m. Central European Time. That's a time also when more people from more countries can see. We got many letters or emails and notifications that this is better. So next session of the Heart of the Holy Name, Saturday the 24th of October at 3 p.m. Central European Time, at the same place here at this Facebook address. Follow the Facebook, please, for announcement. Announcement number 2. Next Saturday, that's October the 3rd, there will be a special Bhagavad Gita class for the month of Purushottam. It's the taken from the chapter Purushottam Yoga, how to make the yoga with the Supreme Person. It is at 3 p.m. Central European Time. Please also watch the announcements on this Facebook page. So next Saturday, Purushottam Yoga. Announcement number 3, you can watch the previous seminars on chanting, like the Living Name online course, Kirtan experience, Bhakti Essentials, and many wisdom videos on my YouTube, it's called, YouTube channel. Please look in your comment section. There you will find the exact link. And final announcement. My God, 4 announcements. If you want to go really through a deep immersion into the Holy Name, and you would like to have some coaching, daily coaching, how to do this, we have recorded daily japa inspirations and recorded exercises from the Living Name book on my SoundCloud profile. To obtain the link, please look now in the comments. They should appear there, the link to the SoundCloud profile. Really, sometimes these japa inspirations can really turn, they are only 3-4 minutes long, can turn your practice into really an inspired practice. Also, sometimes exercises like the one which we did just now, when you hear them recorded, they can really bring you into a different space. So this is a service we are offering to the worldwide community of chanters, And yes, they are on SoundCloud. Good. Announcements done. Let us now go to the questions. As human beings, we are so much governed by our emotions. In fact, they seem to direct our lives in invisible ways. What can we do to transforming or bring our emotions to a devotional space so that our chanting becomes real? Yeah, that is a true observation. We are often directed by our emotions. When we are sad and depressed, it seems to cloud our whole experience of life, or anger, or excitement, or loving feelings. How can we bring our emotions to a space where they are helpful for our chanting? See, you must know one thing about emotions. They are like waves on water, and just like waves which become influenced by another wave, and they then move accordingly, our emotions do become influenced and uplifted by other emotions, outside emotions, which come from an outside source. Something which helps very much to tune or fine-tune your emotions is to read prayers. Prayers of great personalities. And it's good to know the setting or the situation in which these prayers were spoken, and then hear them, read them, or read them out loud, hear them, and then you will see another wave. The wave of another exalted soul comes into your waves of emotions. It will immediately influence them. I became aware of this when I gave a japa retreat, a holy name retreat, with my god brother Giriraj Maharaj, who alerted us that by Sangha, by associating with people, you develop emotions. When you are close to people who are very determined, you develop also their emotions. They come to you. When you are associating or hearing, for instance, a kirtan by someone who is an elevated spiritualist, their consciousness and emotions begins to influence you. One reason why we are sometimes lacking devotional or spiritual emotions is because we have so much contact with worldly literature, with movies, with worldly people, with music. All this carries the consciousness and the feelings of the people, and therefore we are fed, so to say, through music, art, movies, literature, contact with people. We are fed through all these mediums with material consciousness or material emotions. So we can, understanding this principle can help us to apply it to uplifting our emotions. we will then, if we want to do this, choose our association very carefully. We will choose our literature carefully. We will choose what we hear very carefully. We will choose even what we see very carefully. I know of highly advanced spiritual people who will always insist that they cook their own food, because they say consciousness travels through food, so the consciousness of the cook is there in the food. I have seen spiritually elevated people who come with their tiffin or Tupperware into a restaurant and don't, to accompany their friends, and while their friends order restaurant food, they are eating from their own Tupperware, because they want that their consciousness is nourished not through the consciousness of the paid cook, who is maybe thinking, oh, I really don't want to do this here, I just want the money. They don't want this. They want that they have food which is cooked in spiritual consciousness. So this may be a little far for some of us to bring their own food when they accompany their friends to restaurants. But I'm just trying to bring a principle here that try to associate with spiritually minded people, literature, music, and you will see how that type of consciousness which created these people, created this music, created that literature, will come to you, and you will be benefited by this. Sangha, association with anything, can help you to correct or uplift your emotions. Thank you for this very, very good question. Maharaj, I have a question. Please, I would like to know if you believe it to be helpful to practice the various processes of pratyahara, like yoga nidra, to assist in controlling the mind to enhance our japa. Eternal thanks. You're not so humble servant. And, all right. There are various adhikaras or capabilities of practicing bhakti. There is yoga mishra bhakti, for instance, bhakti which is mixed with the processes of yoga. There's karma mishra bhakti, and where you have bhakti, devotion for Krishna, but you also keep your own efforts, your rituals, your everything else alive. Or there's jnana mishra bhakti, where you practice bhakti, but you really want to understand Sankhya and philosophy and so on. So it depends on your adhikara, on your qualification where you are. If it helps you to do yoga nidra or other practices like pranayama to enhance your japa, then that's your present level, and then practice on that on this level. There's whatever helps you to attain that goal should not be neglected. It becomes spiritualized. Your yoga nidra becomes spiritualized by your chanting. Your pranayama or yoga postures become spiritualized by your chanting. So yes, do that. But if you feel a different level of qualification, where you feel you don't need it, you can immediately absorb your mind in chanting, then that is better. Then you don't need these crutches any longer. You can throw them away and do. I must say, in my spiritual practice, I have sometimes seen on days where I'm really, really distracted, that doing a few pranayama exercises really help a lot. Hare Krishna, getting up early in the morning helps to chant japa with attention. How do I consistently wake up early morning? How to develop strong conviction to get up early and do japa attentively? Your early morning starts 7 hours earlier. That is when you go to bed. You cannot rise early when you go to bed late. Or if you rise early and you force yourself to get up early, you will be so tired that you will be very distracted in your practice. How can you develop a strong conviction to get up early? If you are a habitual go to bed late man or woman, I strongly suggest that you just find some, you can Google, it's there on the internet, some description why an early sleep is beneficial. You will find you will find when you go earlier to bed, latest by 10 o'clock, you will be so much more productive. Your body will be able to expel toxins. There are certain hours when the body needs to be at rest in order to have good kidney function, etc., where toxins are. Conviction can be strengthened in 3 ways. Please listen carefully. The conviction, in your case, to rise early and chant japa at that time, can be raised first by a theoretical understanding. You can read in the spiritual scriptures, in the wisdom scriptures, how this is good. But a theoretical understanding gained even from sacred scriptures, or let us say medical articles, is not enough. Knowing is not enough. Therefore you need association of people who do this. Discuss with them. What do you feel? How do you do it? What did you do in order to stop being a late night junkie? And so on. And the third thing is just get up. Get yourself a good alarm clock, which is loud enough to even wake a bear when he has his winter sleep, and then put it outside of the reach of your hand, and then just get up, take a shower, and even if you feel tired that day, then you have to tolerate the tiredness. Then you will be able to go earlier to bed when you're tired, and then the next day you will get up properly. I can only offer these 3 things to build up your conviction. First of all, knowing. Second of all, associating with people who know and who do it and asking them. And third is just do it. Thank you very much for this question. Although the main aim of chanting is to develop pure devotion for Krishna, but is it okay for us to have desires other than spiritual and request Krishna to take care of them? Is Krishna only here for spiritual desires, since we live in this society of worldly affairs? In the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, there is a wonderful verse which describes how devotees come to Krishna with material desires, and Krishna fulfills these material desires, but he does it in such a way that the devotee will not keep on asking again and again, and Krishna will give them his lotus feet, or attachment to him. So yes, if there is a desire which is not too materialistic, like bringing you away from Krishna, if there is such type of innocent desire, you can ask, although this is not the highest standard, you can ask the Lord, and he will certainly fulfill those desires in a way that you will one day only wish him. That is what we find in this text of the 5th canto. Hare Krishna, the next question. Please accept my dandavats. One of the ways to concentrate on the way to japa is to concentrate on the lotus feet of the Lord. What does it really mean? Is it to imagine the lotus feet in our heart? Or is it meant to surrender to the Lord, or even have a picture of divine feet in front of us? Please explain practically about it. See, when it says we should meditate about the lotus feet of the Lord, it means two things. One is literally the lotus feet and their particular impressions, and you can get a picture of these impressions because they all do something, they all mean something. For instance, the thunderbolt breaks away the mountain of illusion in the hearts of the devotee, the thunderbolt on the lotus feet of the Lord. You can do this, but very often when it says the lotus feet, it means the whole Lord. It's almost when you say he bows down to the British crown. It doesn't mean just the crown, it means the whole British government and so on. Or in India, when you meet someone, you will say, where have your lotus feet come from? This doesn't mean that the person has cut off his feet and the feet independently walked. No, when you ask, where have your lotus feet come from, it means, where have you come from? The whole person, head, shoulders, torso, everything. So it can mean two things. Literally meditate on the lotus feet and please mind this, the impressions of the lotus feet. You can educate yourself about the various impressions and their meanings. And the second is meditate about the entire Krishna, starting from his lotus feet up to his beautiful peacock feather that trembles a little bit in the breeze that comes from the Yamuna river. God. Yeah, this is very, very nice that you are all with me. I must say, it's such a pleasure to somehow know that you are there. Your consciousness travels even through the mobile telephone. I'm in front of a mobile telephone here. So let me just answer the last question here. Hare Krishna Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I have another question. You mentioned this many times in your lectures that what we do, what we hear, what we see throughout the day affects our consciousness while chanting. How do we save ourselves from the ever-growing distraction of media that makes us lusty, greedy and materialistic? How do we save ourselves from this? please guide me and bless me that I can apply your teachings in my life. It's a great honor to be able to serve devotees who have such a great determination to save yourself from the ever-increasing distraction around you. You have to build up more concentration in your heart. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, it was in New Vrindavan, he was asked, why is Maya so strong? And he answered, your purpose is not strong. Because your purpose is not so strong, Maya's influence is felt more strong. So someone who has a strong purpose, a strong focus inside, he won't be distracted so easy. You can see this when you write maybe a letter to someone who's very important to you, and someone comes in, another person comes in, you don't even notice the sound of the door opening because you're very focused. You need to increase your focus in your spiritual life, in your practice, and in this way you won't be so distracted. That is the answer which Srila Prabhupada gave to that devotee, and I really know that it works. I know there are a few more questions, but I promised in the last session that we would chant a little bit more. Please let us do this and chant now. Remember, the next session is here we have it, Saturday 24th of October, 3 p.m. Central European time. I make a special note of this because we have changed the day and the time, but you can also watch in the Facebook. There will be announcements. Good. I thank you once again very, very much. Really, I'm very much grateful that I can give these sessions. Let us please chant together for 5 more minutes and end this session on this note. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody again. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Radha Kanaya Lala, Radha Kanaya Lala, Sri Radhe, Jaya Radha Kanaya Lala, Radha Kanaya Lala, Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna.